Well, good morning and hope everybody's doing fine. It's 6 o'clock in the morning here in Angeles City, and I'm having my coffee. I'm on my second pot. I've been up since about 3, trying to get a couple things accomplished before the day goes on. I hope everybody's doing well, um, if you're not. But it's just a simple Q&A just to sit there and let people know, hey, we've been around. We've been living in the Philippines for many years, off and on, and full time since 2019. So we're happy to share with you any type of information that we can that's reliable. The one thing you won't find is us telling people simple bullshit. We're pretty straightforward. I don't generally, you're not going to find that I'm going to give information that I don't have a definitive answer to it. The other thing too is we're not going to give information that um, is related to a specific genre. genre. And the reason behind that is pretty simple. Everybody is different. Everybody has different ideas of what is. Oh dear. Let's see what this is. Skype. Hello? Hey, hey, Mom. Can I call you back just a little later? I'm in the middle of something. I said, can I call you back a little later? I'm in the middle of something. Is everything okay? Okay. Uh, all right. I'll call you back, Mom. Bye bye. Well, that was interesting. That was my mother calling from North Carolina. So I'll have to call her back a little bit. Good morning, Tin Whistle. How are you? I hope you're doing well. London, what's the weather like in London right now? Um, I don't know. You know what? I'll be honest with you. I've been to London, but I'm not really that familiar at all with the UK or even Europe in that matter. I mean, I've mostly been there a couple times as a tourist and not really anything more than that. So that'd be interesting. I don't know whether your weather is opposite of ours. It's our winter time here, which is really a misnomer. Winter is just not a big deal here. Oh, thank you for the thumbs up, whoever that was. We really appreciate that. Um, so I don't know what the the weather's like in London right now. Whether it's your summer or winter, your winter. Although here our winter consists of it, in the mid 80s, so it's a little warmer. But what I was saying earlier was generally that we don't give out information that we don't have clear answers on. And what I mean by that is really simple. Everybody is different. Everybody has a different background. Everybody has different needs. Everybody has different desires. You know, there are we've met people who are happy to live, in fact, enthusiastic about living in the province and living a very Filipino lifestyle. And we've met people that would not move out of the big city at all. Oh, snow. We had snow. Oh my God. I don't know what snow would be like in London. I didn't realize it actually snowed in London. That's pretty impressive. But anyways, so people are different. We own a place in the province, small town. My wife swears there's 8,000 people there. I'd say closer to about 5,000. While I enjoy visiting, and we do so every couple of months, there's not. I could not live there. I would not have the interaction with other Western speaking people to talk about current events and things like that. I mean, I think that no matter what you're doing, you need to constantly engage your mind. And that means having discussions, debates, whatever with your friends. But anyways, what I was saying is that there are people that are in very happy on a very minimalistic, what I would call a minimalistic lifestyle. But okay, Dean, thank you. I'm thinking of immigrating to either the Philippines or maybe Thailand or Laos, somewhere in that region. Well, those are pretty much three really different locations. Um, I'll tell you why. Thailand and Laos, um, there's going to be a bit of an English or a language barrier. And the reason that I say that is it's going to depend on where you go. You're going to find, like, if you go to Bangkok, you're going to find a larger percentage of locals that understand um, yeah, I guess that's the best word. You're not going to find as many locals that understand English in Thailand, and even less in Laos. So, you're going to need to look at staying or being in areas. I mean, you don't have to, don't get me wrong, you could learn the language, but to have a seamless English integration would be more difficult in Thailand. I mean, Thailand has beautiful beaches, beautiful islands. Philippines has beautiful beaches, beautiful islands. Traffic is an absolute disaster in Bangkok, and it's an absolute disaster in Manila. I think in general, I would say that traffic's just an absolute disaster through many parts of the Philippines. I've traveled a good bit of Thailand from one end to the other. Laos, I don't know much about, so couldn't give you a really in-depth opinion on how that is. Laos is again a language barrier issue. Here in the Philippines, English is a mandatory class in school. And while Filipinos are a bit shy if they don't know you, they understand more English than they will acknowledge, or they understand some of the basics at least. In my wife's province, English isn't spoken much at all by people over the age of, say, 30. It's the younger people that will interact with me and speak English, but not so much. Even then, Filipinos are very shy. They really and truly are. Contrary to um, what people believe, they're not standoffish. They're just shy. They're great people, and they're very accommodating and very nice and really good people, but they are shy. And so sometimes we interpret them being shy as them being standoffish, and that's not the case. I looked at Thailand to retire. My wife and I thought about it. But in the end, we decided that when I elected to go ahead and fully retire, that we would make our home in the Philippines. And again, we had other contributing factors. My wife's family is obviously here. We don't live, you got to we have to get on a plane in order to go see my wife's family. Yes, but they're here at least. Under the Philippine uses English as commonplace. Yes, in fact, it is legal paperwork in the Philippines. When it comes down to governmental legal paperwork in the Philippines, is all English. That is, English is the legal language here with respect to the legal system. So, in other words, you know, if you buy a home, if you're doing a lot of different things that require legal paperwork, it's all in English, as that's the basis of the Philippine legal system. And it's mandatory. It's mandatory that contracts, not that they have to be, let me rephrase that. Generally speaking, you will find that contracts are always done in English, and there are it has to be an exception for you to do a contract in Tagalog. Keep in mind that here in the Philippines, we're talking about I think it's 170 some odd different dialects, and it's not like the difference of being from say Ireland and being Welsh. It's not. That's a bad example. The example should be it's not like the difference in accents between being from Boston and Georgia, Atlanta. It's a totally different language. There's two major languages here in the Philippines. There's Tagalog, all right, and then there's Bisaya. But branching off from them, there are 168 plus other languages. Some of them have nothing in common with Tagalog or Bisaya. So it's it's just different. But English is very common. It's taught in the school system. It's part of the school system. We've never been to a restaurant or mall or anything of any significance that the language being used there was not English. Now, I can tell you it's not uncommon at all for, let's say we go to the mall. If we go to the mall here in Angeles City, or we go to the mall in Manila, you're going to hear Filipinos speaking Tagalog to other Filipinos because it's faster, it's easier, it's a common language that is utilized at home all the time and everything else. But they're never had a problem switching over from the customer before me was in Tagalog, and now I'm talking to them in English, and it's quite simple to do. So, that being said, English is very commonplace. We don't have that issue. Once you get outside of the cities and into the provinces, English drops off a bit. You'd be surprised at how well they understand English, but they don't converse in English because they're shy. If you were speaking Tagalog to them, they would still be somewhat shy, although happy to speak with you in Tagalog. So, yeah, English is commonplace. We see it often. We see it all the time. I mean, here where we live in a heavy expat population area. And I don't mean Angeles City, but Malabañas are, I don't know what you want to call it, neighborhood. All right. It's kind of like a little enclave, I guess is the best word for it. Is very, very heavy expat. You know, UK, Australian, New Zealand, South Africa, United States, even Central America. We have a huge expat population. And the expat population here continues to grow. And one of the interesting things about the expat population here is the age group is getting lower. 10 years ago, you would not have seen so many expats here under the age of 40. Now it's not uncommon at all. And when I say you wouldn't see them here, you wouldn't see them here living. You would see them here visiting, but you wouldn't see them here living. Manila is a different story because Manila is the financial Makati, part of Manila, is the financial hub of the Philippines. So all of your banks, all of your finance firms, a lot of your big legal companies, they're all headquartered right there in Manila. So, you would have seen people younger back then because they were here doing business. But here in Angeles City, we're seeing a lot of younger expats coming here, staying here, moving here. We see a lot of people who say they're not happy where they are in the country that they're in. I'm thinking of moving to Angeles City. I know it's known for walking Street Fields Ave, an American military base. Well, yeah, sure, it's known for that. Yes, it absolutely is. But there's a lot more to it than that. What makes Angeles City attractive is basically three things. First off, there's an international airport. Rather than have to go to Clark and fight the crowds, you can fly out, Manila. You can fly in and out of Clark. All right, it's 15 minutes from where we live. And it's not packed. It's got a brand new terminal. It's very, very nice. Second reason is it has a huge expat population. So you're able to have a conversation with other people who fluidly speak your language and generally stay abreast of the current events. So it's nice to have friends that can talk politics and economics and all the different current events that are going on back home. The third reason, of course, is the nightlife. And the nightlife is more than just walking Street and Fields Ave, but it is a big part. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, a lot of people come here for the nightlife. Okay. Uh, but there are great restaurants down there. There are great hole in the wall, nothing restaurants. There are great restaurants. I mean, I can tell you that, like out on Clark, about 15 minutes from us, there are multiple large westernized hotel chains, Marriott, Hilton, etc. They have great restaurants, absolutely great. I would encourage you to try and take a look at assimilating into Filipino food, and I have done a very poor job of that, to be honest with you. But on the other hand, there's some Filipino food that we absolutely love, and we eat, and it's great, and I can't complain whatsoever. We didn't have any trouble or problems integrating here. We didn't have any issues with temporary visas, although my wife didn't need a visa at all. I did. Okay. We didn't have time for getting a permanent residency card. We didn't have a difficult time getting electricity in our name, or we didn't have a hard time with any of these issues. It's a little bit different than in America. But you know what? I say it's different in America because it's different than what I'm used to. I was watching Wasting Time this morning, and I saw a guy in the States that does videos of rural ghost towns and dying towns. And quite frankly, I would think, if I lived in a little town like that, I'd be going through many of the same problems or issues that I'd be going through here. I'd have to have a drive to a big city to take care of different things. So I mean, it's not that different, really. It just depends on where you're at. But the final reason that Angeles City is our location is because of healthcare. There are 3 good, large hospitals here in Angeles. Now, I wouldn't have a cardiac stent here. I wouldn't have bypass surgery here. But you know what? Manila's right down the road. I could be in the heart of Manila, especially with the new Skyway done. I can be in downtown Makati in an hour and 20 minutes from here. We just hop in the car and drive down. In fact, it's not uncommon for us to hop in the car, drive down, have a weekend of shopping and dining and whatever else we need to get done there. Oh, thank you again for those thumbs up. I really appreciate it. We really appreciate it. It's 6:20 in the morning, 6:25 in the morning, and Arlen is definitely still asleep. So, but with that being said, no, we didn't have any troubles with that. You're gonna come to here if you're gonna think of moving to the Philippines, I wouldn't choose a location yet. What I would do is I would come and base myself out of wherever I'm thinking of staying, and then travel a little bit. I mean, if you're going to come by and you're thinking, oh, I'm thinking of staying in Angeles City, well, you know what? I would think also of staying, maybe you should go spend a week in Cebu or in Iloilo or Dumaguete or some of the other areas that will have a decent expat population, because I think that no matter where you stay, you need to stay near other expats or you're going to go crazy. You're going to go crazy when your wife is the only person that you can talk to today that speaks English. or is willing to speak English to you. Now, maybe that's not the truth. Maybe that's not um, maybe that's not an issue with you. Okay, but having that interaction with other expats is a big part of what I think is important. You may want to live at the beach, so you've got Iloilo, you've got a ton of different places, Cebu, Davao, a ton of different places. Here in Angeles City, we're a 45-minute drive to Subic, which I don't particularly care for Subic, but then going north up the coastline from there, it gets beautiful. So Ten says, I would love to live in a place whereby it's not expensive when I can have a backyard for my dogs. I'm sorry, I have a camera set up there. And I wonder how I would afford to live there as I don't have any housing that I could rent for income. And I wonder how I would afford to live there. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, you're not going to be able to be gainfully employed here unless you have a very special talent. There are very, very strict laws here about being employed. You've got, if you're an expert, it's a possibility. You could contact some of the call centers, but the income there is pretty low. I think if I look at it, or if I try to remember it, hang on just a second. I think on average, let's say the call center is probably about $30,000 a month, and let's just say the rates. So a call center is going to get you about $550 a month if you're lucky. Some of those call center jobs are considerably less. All right. Expats rather than experts. Well, you're going to find a lot of expats that think they're experts. That's for sure. I would say take advice and then research it. I don't think that getting a job in a call center is a real viable fallback. I would make sure that if I were coming to the Philippines and I needed an income, that I had enough money put away to get the hell back out of the Philippines. Because getting an income here is difficult. It's not something that you can just do. Getting a job here is not a great scenario for foreigners. There are jobs that you can get, but you have to fall in a category where that employer is proving that they are not taking away a job from a Filipino. That's one of the laws here. And getting a work visa is not as simple as a tourist visa. Just because you're here on a tourist visa doesn't permit you to work. In fact, it absolutely forbids you from working. You can even be what's called you can get a temporary residency, all right, through the ACR, Alien Certification Registry. And that doesn't entitle you to work. It just simply is a type of extension. In fact, you're required to get an ACR card if you've been here over 90 days. So you've got to go through that process. Getting a job here and making money here is not a real big deal. Most of the people we know, all of the people we know, all of the people we know, none of them have jobs here at all. What's up, Dickie? How are you? It's good to see you. Hanzala Mansour, one good reason to live in the Philippines. Well, there's a lot of reasons that are good. Otherwise, I wouldn't live here. If I wasn't happy here, I wouldn't live here. That's pretty much the bottom line. My wife and I are very happy here, and there are a ton of good reasons to live here. I can't, but I would not come here without. Oh, there we go. Dickie. I would not come here without having a financial means already in place to afford to live here. It just wouldn't do it. Getting a job here and creating an income here is not for the normal person. Yes, indeed, Pirate Cove. You know what? I've never looked at that, Pirate Cove. I have a 13A visa, and I've never looked at the requirements for a work permit. I don't know that I would need one or don't need one because I've never looked at it because I don't intend to work. My whole idea behind retiring was to not work. I guess that makes me a pretty lazy person. But no, I don't know. Maybe I'll look into it and do something, and maybe I'll do a blog on that. I have 4 of them getting ready to come out over the next, starting tomorrow, one a day for the next 4 days. Some of them are interesting. Some of them are just normal stuff with questions and things like that. Dickie says, once we retire to the Pinas, there will be no mention of trying to find work. Exactly, Dickie. Why retire? Although I do understand it. I said I was retired for years in the U.S., but I was still working. I owned a couple of businesses at that time, and so I continued to manage and grow those businesses until we sold them and decided to quit working completely. In fact, on my last business, the last business I sold actually didn't get closed until we'd been living full time here in the Philippines for over a year. So, Pirate Cove says if you've got a 13A, you can hold any job. And again, you know what? I don't know. I have no idea. I've never looked at it because it's just not something that I considered doing. I didn't think about it, didn't want it, had no concerns about it. Hey, look, if you guys, if anybody on here is not subscribed to our channel, we'd certainly appreciate it. And if you hit that thumbs up, we'd appreciate that even more. That's for sure. We try and put out a couple, 3-4 blogs a week when I have time, which I have a lot of because I'm retired. It's a good hobby for us. We put out blogs about the province because we own a home in the province. We put out blogs about Angeles, and we put out blogs about our travel. So, if you're interested in that, hit that notify button so you'll be notified to the next blog. We put out blogs about even our past. I told you I was retired and I was in the medical profession for 40 years, but I owned and invested in several businesses over the years. And one of those businesses was a topless bar. And I actually started a segment on what it was like to own and deal with the drama and that's the best word I can come up with of a topless bar. Um, it's like adult daycare. Uh, it was one of those things you were never so grateful to finally be rid of, but you would miss. Uh, but yeah, that's kind of the way it was. Um, Snapper Shag. Dickie says, open up a club named. I got to tell you, um, my my history of owning a gentleman's club is over. It was 4 years of constant drama. It was very highly profitable, but 4 years of constant drama. And and you're talking about constant drama for someone that never even worked there. I mean, I didn't run the place. I didn't own it. I mean, I owned it, but I didn't work there. I didn't hire and fire, and I had managers that did all of that stuff. So it was still drama, just owning it. Of course, finding a job that pays good, that's a different story. Yeah, finding a job that makes it worth your while to work is a whole different story. That's for sure. Is it true that Christmas is in September rather than December? I heard from a Brit in the Philippines that Christmas Day falls on September 1st. No, sort of that's sort of true and not true. They start getting ready for Christmas in the Ber months, BER. Any month that starts with BER. So you've got September, October, November, and December. Those are called the Ber months, and those are when they start getting ready for Christmas. All right, December, it's Christmas Day is the same, but the Christmas decorations do start to go up in September. Was your bar in the U.S. or in the PI? My bar was in Phoenix, Arizona. I spent a large portion of my life in Phoenix, and that's where the bar was. I wouldn't even think about opening a bar here or working at a bar here. I think it's got to be more drama than it was where I came from. Christmas is December 20th. Yes, Pirate Cove is absolutely correct. Can you name the place? Pink's? No. Yes, Dickie, I'm happy to name the place. The name of the place that I owned was called the Excalibur. All right? It was on 19th Avenue, over by 19th Avenue and Missouri. I sold it to Mark, I won't say his last name, Mark and Tim, who owned Centerfolds, and they ended up changing the name to the Sugar Shack or something like that. I can't remember. So, John Calder, married 15-year-old, lived in Lady 14. Wow. Great. 10-minute walk to the beach and 100,000 peso income per month. Life is good. You know what, John? Those are the great stories to hear. Those are the absolute best stories, is when people are happy and they get everything done that they need to get done and want to get done. That's a big, big thing. Leyte is beautiful. There are I think Leyte's really underrated when it comes to beaches and when it comes to a lot of other things. Leyte is really, really nice. I'm not sure about a 15-year-old daughter how you're doing. I have a soon-to-be 21-year-old daughter, and she has been an angel, but quite the handful. And girl drama when they're kids is vicious. Pirate Cove says Tucson, so that would have been like Raiders Reef. The Zanzuki brothers owned Raiders Reef. Yeah, and they owned a couple others. I knew the Zanzuki brothers, and I knew Damien up at Bush, and I knew the guys from Centerfolds, and I knew the guys that owned. Actually, there was an attorney that actually owned Band-Aids and what was the other one? He owned Bourbon Street. Band-Aids and Bourbon Street was owned by. Bourbon Street he owned 100%. It was pretty funny. Good morning, Robert. Clubhouse Asia. Hey, guys, I love this guy. This guy has got his shit all in the right sock. He's done a great job. He really and truly has. You should watch his channel. He's very interesting. Very, very interesting. He has a very dynamic and fluid background, which you're going to find fun. John says, only downside is we were hit directly by Yolanda. Yeah, Yolanda really messed up Leyte. It really and truly did. And I think that's just one of the things that you have to be prepared for is inclement weather here. You probably need to build better. You need to be prepared. You need to understand that you're on an island in the South Pacific and shit happens. Okay? This is not Nebraska, although we don't see as many tornadoes as Nebraska would. But this is not Georgia. This is not Texas. Oh, I guess Texas gets a tornado now and then too. But my point is that you need to be aware of it. You need to be prepared for it. And you need to consider it. And you consider it where you live. I mean, even with me, we actually, I'm looking at myself there. My wife attacked my eyebrows. Man, I think she butchered that one. Anyways, what was I saying? Oh, yeah. One of the things that you have to consider here, I mean, we even took a look at elevation when we decided to build our house. We looked at how, what's our elevation above sea level? Not that we're next to the beach. We're a 40-minute drive, about 30-minute drive in Mindanao from the beach. But we looked at elevation, I mean, these are all things you have to kind of give a second thought to. One of the other things is that some people just prefer to rent so they can walk away from whatever inclement natural disaster hits it. So it's what they do. Oh my God, John. -20. Yeah, well, it's certainly not -20 here. I don't know about -20. My wife's family immigrated from France to Canada when my wife was my mom's family immigrated from France to Canada when she was young, and they settled in a place called Bromptonville, and north of Montreal. And it gets cold as crap there. Does Angeles City experience typhoon, or is that generally coastal towns that experience it? Well, yes, we do, because you have to keep in mind that weather follows the prevailing wind stream that it's in. So when weather comes through, it follows that wind stream. We recently had the remnants of the latest hurricane came through. We got some heavy rain, but we're 50 miles inland, so it was just heavy rain and about 45-mile-an-hour winds. Nothing bad. A couple years ago, we got hammered, and I mean hammered. I have good construction, and I was fortunate. A friend of ours, they had some older construction, and literally their sliding glass doors, double pane sliding glass doors, but the framing was not so great, literally was buckling under the wind. They had 90 mile an hour winds and torrential rain. Angeles was without, the entire city was without power for, I want to say it was 3 days, without power for 3 days. And then in turn, we got power. We had emergency generators backup, but a lot of people were without power. So yeah, you know, you're on an island, so everywhere is subject to a typhoon, whether you're on the beach or not. Just not as severe necessarily. Ever thought of opening a bar in Angeles? Not even a second thought. Not even close to it. I can tell you that my one experience owning a gentleman's club was enough to convince me that the bar business was simply adult daycare, and I had no desire for that kind of drama. Again, I never worked there. I didn't work at my own bar. I mean, we dropped in often and different things, and policy, procedures, human resources, all the finances and stuff like that. Sure. But 10 bar, manage girls, deal with drunks? Nah. I'm sorry. It was not my would not have been my cup of, I would never be a good bartender. I don't want to hear somebody's sad story. I just don't. Let's see. 10 was down to 0 as 1 in the UK, snow last week. Man, that's cold. That is cold. I miss cold once in a while. I'd like to see it once in a while. One good thing about Central Luzon is typhoons are not a big problem. Correct. They're not a big issue here. They're far less powerful here. And generally, they divert in different directions, so you're only catching the outer bands. We've only had one that was a direct hit since we've been here, and that was about 2.5 years ago. And that, again, wasn't horrible, just a lot. No power 3 days. After Yolanda in the 6 months. Yeah, John. Like I said, Yolanda was brutal. I don't know how you guys dealt with it. I really and truly don't. Dickie, boner boy. Yeah, boner boy. I could tell you a lot of stories about boner boy. I hate to say it. I actually had to give the eulogy at Ray's funeral. He passed away at a very young age, but he had a very full life. But he lived every second of it. I'll tell you that right now. I could tell you some stuff about. Oh my God, it was quite funny. It really was. Ray was the son you're glad you never had. Oh my goodness. Other than that, though, it's all been the same. Well, as you saw, I got a call from my 85-year-old mother a little bit ago in the U.S. So she only calls me when she needs something. So I'm going to have to give her a call back. I really appreciate everybody stopping in. Thank you so much. If you haven't subscribed, please do. And please hit that thumbs up. Watch a couple of our old videos. See if you like them. And always, we love comments. Good, bad, indifferent, constructive, not constructive. We don't care. All right. Gives me something to do while I eat breakfast answering them because we try and answer them all. I want to thank all of you. I want to wish you all a very happy holiday if you're not back on by the next time we are. And have a super, super great day. But I got to call my mom. Thanks. Bye. Oh. Bum, 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 bum. Hey, Mom, it's me. I'm sorry. I love you. Miss you. Give me a call. Bye bye. Good morning.